few days ago, popular artist samdoesart posted fan art of Joel and Ellie from episode 2 of The Last of Us, but within about a day, Sam deleted the art from his socials for reasons I'll explain. First, looking at the art, it looks really nice and well painted, like most of Sam's work. However, there's something painfully noticed about this art that a lot of people couldn't ignore. Some people noticed while Joel's face looks like an accurate study to the reference, Ellie's face looks nothing like her reference photo and almost looks doll-like next to Joel, and almost uncanny compared to her reference photo. Because of this, a lot of people have noticed that Sam tends to draw female faces in the same way no matter what, and has a really bad case of same face syndrome. It never really seemed to be a problem in his previous art of his own characters. However, the difference between the accuracy of Joel's face in the fan art and the inaccuracy of Ellie's face in the fan art has kind of brought attention to the females in Sam's art having same face syndrome. Some Twitter users expressed their distaste for this. One user made a thread that gained a lot of traction. In the first part of the thread, they quote retweeted Sam's art saying, "I'm confused why you did a study of Pedro, then basically refused to draw Bella Ramsey and defaulted to your usual canned Instagram girly style. This is weird, Sam. I don't feel like you think much of women." A lot of people were upset by this tweet, arguing that the artist can draw however they want, whenever they want, and they don't have to spend a certain amount of time on art for each character. Also, accusing Sam of not liking women just because of this is quite a stretch. But the OP went on to compare their own art to Sam's in the next tweet, saying, quote, "If I, a hobbyist at this point, can do a quick study of Ellie 2 hours after the episode aired, then Sam can try to draw Bella to some vague degree of accuracy." End quote. They said this over a quote retweet of their own art. Some Twitter users called this thread out as just an excuse for the OP to advertise their own art by stirring up controversy, but overall, this thread actually received a good amount of support from other Twitter users with 1.5 million views and 26k likes. However, a lot of people also shared their criticism with this tweet. The highest reply in the thread is a tweet that is now hidden by the original poster of the thread. The reply reads, quote, "I wonder when we'll start letting art be a freedom again and focus on ourselves rather than what others are doing." End quote. The next highest reply in the thread reads, "When people don't do the art the way you think they should, it doesn't mean they hate you or people like you. Criticism is fine. I had the same thought about this piece, but calling him sexist is a big stretch." I also went on to share my thoughts with this thread. As a joke, I said, "MFs when an artist has an art style. They draw certain things the same way consistently. How dare they?" The OP of this thread responded within seconds, and I don't think they're really happy with me. It's a pretty big stretch to accuse me of something like that in response to what I said, but this is exactly what others were criticizing them for in the original thread about Sam, so I don't think we need to dwell on it for too long. Later on, an art mutual of mine shared their thoughts, as well as a screenshot that the OP of the original thread added a few hours after I quote retweeted. This screenshot is actually a response directly from Sam in response to some criticism of his fan art on Instagram. In this screenshot, someone asks, quote, "How is it that when you draw men, each of them are unique, but when you draw women, you suddenly enter the same face syndrome?" And Sam's reply was as follows, quote, "You want to know why? Because I'm straight, and find one single face most appealing in drawings and have no interest in drawing other faces because they'll be absolutely dust. This is the exact reason why all those other artists also draw only one face whenever they want to admit it or not. They're all a bunch of liars and they can only draw one face because they like that face the most. I don't care about how my men look, so I draw them all differently because I don't care about their appeal. Revealing an industry secret here." End quote. This, I think, was the most important part of this controversy because this is a response to the criticism directly from Sam. This response packs a lot, so let's break it down a bit. First and foremost, Sam states that he's aware that his female-focused art tends to fall under the category of same-face syndrome, and he admits that he does this on purpose because he wants to draw faces he's attracted to. Which, honestly, I don't think there's something wrong with being attracted to a certain type and wanting to draw that type. However, I do think it's unfortunate that he purposefully pigeonholes his art to fit with this type. Next, he makes a bold statement saying all other artists whose art has same face syndrome are the same, which I think is quite an unfair statement to make. Obviously, you can't apply Sam's choices to be applicable to artists who struggle with diversifying their art. However, I'm quoting directly from what he said so as not to misquote him, and he did make sure all was in caps. He finishes with sharing the reason the men he draws are drawn differently, and this is because he's not attracted to men and he doesn't care about how they look or their appeal in his art. We can clearly see this in how he draws Joel in his fan art compared to how he draws Ellie, and we can also see this on his secondary account, Sam Does Men, where he posts only his drawings of men, including this recent art of Joel, until it was deleted with the other posts. With this response, I can see why people have problems with this situation, especially now. No one was really complaining when Sam's art of his own characters shared similar faces, because they're his characters. However, this fan art for Ellie, Sam basically stripped Ellie's character away so she could fit into what he views as attractive, which some went on to point out is extremely questionable as Ellie is 14 in The Last of Us, and it's a little concerning that Sam would respond to the criticism of him yassifying Ellie with this long paragraph stating it's because he wanted to draw her with an attractive face. When you stop to think about it, it just doesn't really sit well. Now, I'm not saying Sam is a bad person or anything like that at all. I was just using his response as context straight from the artist himself. I can understand why the community was so split over this. Other popular artists even weighed in with their opinion. Freelance concept artist Logan Preshaw made a really long thread in support for Sam that was all unfortunately deleted within a few hours. In the thread, Logan said that it's unfair to attack artists for their style and art style choices that are theirs and theirs alone, and the artists don't owe the viewers anything. And while I really, really want to go further into the opinions he shared, I can't find any traces of the thread as it was deleted very quickly, and I don't want to try to state his case from memory because it just runs the risk of accidentally misquoting or twisting his words, which I don't want to do. However, in the remains of the deleted thread, another concept artist, Kuno, shared their take, which I think is a really good one. They said, quote, "I agree with every point he made here," end quote, which we, again, unfortunately can't see every single point he made as the entire thread was Thanos snapped. To continue the quote, "But I believe that some people weren't beating him down, they're simply making very obvious observations. I think Sam's work is great, and while he has a recognizable style, it's understandable why people have had a certain reaction." End quote. Then they added, quote, "I genuinely think too many people, fans, creators, and artists alike are reading too far into people's work and comments assuming the most nefarious things. I hope people like Sam continue to create and other people try to respect his choices," end quote. Honestly, I think this is a really good take, probably the best one to come out of this situation. In the criticisms of fans' art, we did see people just dogging on him. However, we also saw really understandable reasons people wanted to express their distaste for the situation, as well as some really valid criticisms. And in the end, Sam ultimately responded to these criticisms and went on to take down the art on all socials. He said this in his tweet, quote, "Removed my fan art on The Last of Us. I was admittedly very lazy in slapping a random Disney face on Ellie, and unfortunately was not aware of the hate that Bella received for her appearance and casting. Thanks for everyone who provided feedback. I'll aim to be better going forward," end quote. The thread continues, quote, "I now understand why the subject is sensitive and want to say that I genuinely mean no harm to anyone. Bella is amazing in the show and portrays Ellie extremely well. And finally, The Last of Us is one of my favorite games and inspired some of my earliest fan art. I genuinely love the franchise. I'll challenge myself more and try my best to get out of my comfort zone and be a better artist. Hope to make up for this one in the future. I appreciate you guys," end quote. Sam's apology thread gained a lot of responses very quickly, a lot of which he went on to reply to. And each response given from Sam showed that he really did put a lot of thought into the situation, whether he was responding to support or criticism. And every response he continues to give in this thread seems much more mature and thoughtful than the one he gave on his Instagram, which is understandable as it is really hard to give a clear-headed response while you're getting dogpiled on the internet. Obviously, for some people, this isn't enough, and they keep on replying with screenshots of his original IG response, but overall, it seems like Sam did some really good reflecting on the situation, and most people are happy with his response. And that's it. What do you think? Do you think Sam needed to take down the art? Do you think all the criticism was justified? What are your thoughts? Share them in the comments. I will respond to them because genuinely, I want to know. I think this conversation is really important to have in the art community, and I'm honestly really sad that half of these threads and tweets were deleted, because there was actual conversation being taken place here. And when something like this happens, I think it's important to talk about it, because shoving it under the rug does nothing but leave it to happen in some other place at some other date. Also, believe it or not, this situation took place in less than 2 days, which is crazy, but it's also why I felt comfortable making a video of this, because the situation has pretty much been acknowledged and resolved. It hasn't continued or been extended or anything like that. And I feel like as long as we don't twist anyone's words or actions, we can reflect on it without it just being pure drama. Alright, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, tell me what you think. Subscribe if you want. It'll help me out. And yeah, peace. Be kind to each other, y'all.